everybody, it's Captain Kyle and I'm here with a versus review. I have the Legacy Evolution Guardian Robot and Lunar-Tread, and I am putting them up against the eHobby exclusive Guardian Robot. Yes, the repaint of Omega Supreme and the repaint of Omega Supreme. Fighting each other, and you get to decide who wins. I'm gonna go through each of these, go through all their features and transform them and all that stuff, and see if either of these are good for your collection. Be right back. So yes, Hasbro put out the Guardian Robot, a repaint of Omega Supreme. We kind of knew it was coming. Kind of weird if they didn't put it out after, you know, well, some people hate repaints, but this is one of the cool ones. Because it's not the same character, it's not the Energon version of Omega Supreme, and, I mean, molds cost a lot of money, so, you know, they gotta get their money's worth out of it. Or else they go down as a company, we don't get any more Transformers, and that would be horrible. I also happen to have the eHobby exclusive version that came out some years ago. I don't even remember how long ago. And this one, I did not put any stickers on him. I do have the stickers still on the sheet. I just love the way he looked as is. So we're gonna go through these guys. I'm gonna put the new one over there. I guess there's a reason why. You're probably like, his wings are too big. Well, Omega Supreme and the Guardian Robot are supposed to just have these wings, you know, which is kind of reminiscent of that, but for storage and just so I don't lose them, I put him on here. So we're gonna put him over there. And let's take a look at this guy and his little Lunar-Tread. You can stand there. All right, so he is tall. He's like 22 inches. That is counting from the tips of his wings to his little toes here. But he is an impressively large robot and definitely reminiscent of the Guardian Robots. I am not going to do the whole, you know, who needs a head when you have a strong body? I'm not taking the head off. Head can stay. This is our close-up cam, which is ridiculous because it's just about the same, but at a slightly different angle to the main cam. So we're gonna do our best. And yes, you get to see some of the stuff that's on my shelf for later review. So sneak preview, but let's check him out. Of course, I have to try. Very ratchety. But yes, this guy can do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. That is amazing. Spoiler alert, the other guy can't. So he is quite posable in the leg. He can do side kicks. He bends at the knee. He can bring his legs forward. He can actually bring it forward, not quite to 90 degrees, but pretty close, 88. And they can go all the way back. Now, he actually does have a bit of an ankle rocker, so you can put him in quite a wide stance. He can be like, come on, let's do this. Does he twist? He twists. He twists at the waist. This is very posable, but kind of unwieldy, even for, I mean, I'm not exactly the smallest of human beings. Shut up. I know I gotta lose weight, but regardless, you know, this is unwieldy for me. It's not like playing around with a Micromaster. But his arms, he can move at the shoulder. He can't quite go all the way back because the wings get in the way. If you took those away, it could. Bends at the elbow there, it swivels. The claw has articulation on each finger. That claw, that claw. The tip of his cannon twists. And again, full articulation there. His head turns, do the Exorcist thing. He's got the gun on the back, so he can turn his head around and fire blindly, just blindly, because he's looking the other way. He's got to have some targeting sensors or something. The back looks pretty good, I'd say. You got the wings that are folded in, the tracks, of course, and these pieces that are part of the fuselage, the part of the rocket that go as kind of a backpack. Almost looks like a jetpack, like he could fly. That would be kind of cool. So overall, the articulation is great. You can, of course, bend forward, look down on itty-bitty Decepticons or Autobots, because he's a Guardian Robot. They're kind of neutral. They just guard Cybertron. I know the other one has an Autobot symbol, but, you know, the Guardians were kind of neutral in the War for Cybertron trilogy, and except for Omega Supreme, who decided he didn't like this base color scheme. But I do like the blue and white. It's pretty cool looking. Blue is my favorite color, and white complements it well. He's got a little bit of red detailing. Very nice looking robot, and let's see how he does kneeling. You kneel to no one, my friend. But you can see his face there is actually a face. and not like the original Omega Supreme, which didn't really have a face. They fixed it, I believe, in the reissue. I never got the reissue because I had the original, but we'll see it in a bit, don't worry. So very cool robot. He's got gun ports here. He's got the gun on the back of his head. He's got that claw with, I imagine, a gun port in there and a gun there. So he's pretty well armed and he's big. You know what they say? The bigger they are, the more we get hurt. So run. And just so I don't forget, if you flip open the chest covers, he's got little missile pods in there. So even more armament. And there's another good shot of his face. Doesn't look happy. Okay, so that's pretty much the robot mode. I'm gonna put him over here for the moment. And of course, there's a little, zooming in a lot, there's a little Micromaster dude who just, yeah, he goes along with this. I don't recall if Omega Supreme came with a Micromaster dude, the Titan one. You have to check. Or you can let me know in the comments because you always do. And I appreciate that, actually. If I make a mistake, leave something out, let me know. Changes into a little moon buggy type thing that rolls about as well as any Siege transformer. Just on this surface, you can roll them on a tablecloth or a carpet, probably not a shag carpet, you know, but neat little guy, nice add-on piece. And before we get into the eHobby, he does come with blast effects, so it's pretty cool. The blast effects can go here in his claw. You can put the blast effect on the end of his cannon. You can actually put blast effects on the tips of his claws, which is a neat effect. And of course, when you have the rocket and everything, you can use them for other things as well. But definitely a neat overall representation of this kind of character. Now, there were a lot of Guardian robots. I ain't got the money to army build. You know, guys, give me some super thanks. Maybe I can army build, but yeah, he is one big motherfucker. However, there is the original version. Now again, as I mentioned, I'm gonna adjust the camera for you guys. So yes, we have the eHobby exclusive version of the Guardian robot. Very cool looking. Like I said, for storage, I usually just take these things. I like them on the bottom. The extra tracks, not tracks, but tracks, to give him a truly impressive and intimidating wingspan. So another cool version of the character, a repaint obviously of the original Omega Supreme. He's got a face, you can kind of see it there. It's nice. Articulation though, you can't really move the legs. The arms can go all the way around. He does swivel. The claws are not articulated other than at the ends, but you can open up the claw, so the claw. Yes, I enjoyed Toy Story. He's got his cannon, and the arms are pretty good. The head can move back and forth, though you can kind of feel there's some mechanical whirring, because this guy can do something this one can never do. He can walk. I mean, it's not a fast walk. It reminds me of Deadpool running over a guy with a Zamboni, but he walks. Those electronics are a pretty cool part of this, and the original Omega Supreme as well. So that was a gimmick. Now, recently someone asked me, why didn't they put electronics in these guys? You know, make these guys walk. And I mean, honestly, how often are you going to turn on the electronics in your original Omega Supreme? It's a neat gimmick, but after about 5 minutes, the novelty goes away. Now, interestingly, unfortunately, the blast effects don't work with this guy. But he is a cool version of the character. He's got the electronics, which is a nice gimmick, but again, how often are you gonna turn him on? I'm probably gonna take the batteries out of him, which are right in here. See, there we go. This is not sponsored by Energizer. I go through enough of their batteries, they should sponsor me. But a very cool eHobby exclusive. I am a Guardian robot. And I'm not taking the head off this one either. All right, so we see them in their robot modes. Let's check out the base modes. As you can imagine, this one is quite large. So similar to this one, you do have to kind of disassemble him a bit in order to put him into his vehicle mode. Now, despite his rather large stature, the transformation is not actually too difficult, but we got a rocket. We have a tank, and we have the base. Rocket goes in here, tank goes down the tracks, you roll it around, it can fall off and crash. I think you have to make sure it's perfectly aligned. So on the bottom of the tank, as you can see, there are these little wheel things that go inside the tracks. But honestly, how much are you gonna do this? If you're gonna set it up in this mode, you're gonna put it on a table, you're gonna put it in this mode, you're gonna put the tank, and probably just never roll it around, ever. I mean, seriously. But looking at the thing, so the rocket is pretty cool. The nose can do some space screwing. With the blast effects, you can obviously have it flying around and then come in for a landing, and then you have to take this off in order to put it down, because obviously you're gonna squish your blast effects. It's not good. And you can even have it shooting at the tip, or you can put blast effects on the sides here. It can be adjusting, you know, turning, stuff like that. I gotta say, it's clever how this goes in, but it's a pain in the ass when it comes out. So yeah, it can be changing its attitude, I believe is the proper term. I could be wrong, by using these jets. So it's a pretty cool rocket overall. Much larger, obviously, than the original one. Looks like it could actually have some people in it. It doesn't really have storage space for anybody, but it's a rocket. And possibly a weapon for self-defense at your home if someone breaks in and tries to take your Transformers. Die, you son of a... Anyway. The tank itself, I mean, I already showed you little things on the bottom. I mean, so it can roll. Despite the fact that the treads don't actually work, we weren't really expecting them to. The turret can change its elevation here. These can actually move up as well, and even do a little... Got ya. It cannot turn from side to side unless you do that, and then it kind of reveals face. I don't know, I guess in a pinch, really need to do that. It's a very simple transformation for the tank, but it's still a cool looking tank. And this base, lots of nice detailing. It's got these ramps in here, kind of hard to see, but it's kind of cool with a couple ramps in there. That is good for, you know, some kind of Micromasters or World Smallest and stuff. It's got this little observation area here. Not really going to save you from the blast of the rocket launching, but you know, the robots. Lots of detailing. It's got these smokestacks, I guess now, because they can't really be guns. And yeah, lots of nice detailing on the tracks. It's pretty cool overall, and the tracks themselves are held up by these very clever folding supports that fold flat when you put it into, put the tracks back into the wings. So overall, it's a cool base. You can even have him riding around on it. So it's definitely an upgrade to the original. This rocket is very large. Are you compensating for something? So we have that base, but let's take a look at the other. So we're gonna slide this almost out of sight. This guy doesn't take up as much room. So we have the original. Now, I didn't really show his back before, but there's his back. And he's got this nice little clip here that you want to press down on so you can release the treads. And one good thing about me already having them assembled like that is that they're in tread, all ready to change. You take off his backpack thing, and just like the original Omega Supreme, there's a lot of deassembly required. Now, one thing that people would mess up on is there's a button here to release the claw. There's a button here to release the top of the rocket to make a much smaller and less insecure rocket here. But you have to take off the clips. He's got all these clips, and they're blue. They're blue clips. I remember how, and I imagine it's still the case, people who were trying to put together and finish their Omega Supremes needed to get these clips because they get lost so easily. So if you got a secondhand one, these clips are gold. I actually went to a antique store, found a whole bunch of Transformers accessories, including a bunch of Omega Supreme clips, and I got it for a song because they're bits of plastic junk to them. Okay, once you deassemble it, you can, and there are these little levers on the side that you have to push in really to slide back the treads. It's a good idea to do that, or else if you've seen some of these secondhand ones, you can see how broken some of them get. But a simple transformation. It's now got a tank. Now, these things, basically, it's almost like Lego, but not quite as complicated. I'm doing this from memory, so hopefully I'm getting it all right. The pieces clip together to form the track, so hopefully you're seeing that there. Now you can kind of put all the clips as much as you can into this thing, but they don't all kind of go in. I gotta put this the other way. It's been a long time, okay? I don't know where the little clips are gonna go. I'm just gonna put them here for now. And the rocket, which again, much smaller. Yeah, not gonna make any comments, nor should you, Logan. So this tank, however, goes on the tracks, I think, a little bit better. And again, he can do something he cannot. Of course, you gotta make sure the tracks are in properly. But yes, he can drive around. Again, if you don't put him right on the tracks properly, then you could run into some problems. But there he goes, the electronic gimmick. Again, I don't know how often you would do this, but it is cool. You can see his flashing eyes in there. And just a little more of a close-up. You can see the little area for the rocket. You can see the on-off switch on the back of this tank as it goes around. So they kind of have the similar ramp type things on the new one. So we're going to take the tank off. The tank has a tendency, you can actually roll it without the track, but I just wanted to show a little bit more of the other side. There's the rocket. There's a little area for the rocket. I mean, the toy, I think, was originally put together and manufactured in, I think, the late 70s, because Omega Supreme was, like many of the G1 Transformers, a reused toy. So it's a very cool bot, very cool, you know, homage, but again, comparing like articulation, size, and everything, you know, there's definitely a difference. But I would say that the width of this base is over 2 feet, whereas this one is a little more compact. It's like almost 18 by 18, something like that. But they're both cool. I'm glad I have them both. And you're intimidating. And then you got a little Micromaster with it. So I will put links. This might still be available on Hasbro Pulse. Some other retailers, I'll put some links in the description. This one, you're gonna have to go to eBay and hopefully find it. I am not sure how much it costs, but I am sure it's not cheap. But again, very cool. Guys, I wonder, I'm almost afraid to do this. Ah! He was doing so well, and then he crashed and burned. But very neat. I'm glad that we got the Guardian Robot. Again, I'm not sure if I'm going to army build. You know, if you want to contribute to my army, feel free. Or if you just like this video, you can do a super thanks. But while you are pondering this huge mammoth transformer, you can also check out his arch nemesis, Devastator. We got a Versus over here with the Combiner Wars and a smaller version that is the same mold, but more in keeping with the other Combiner Wars combiners. And of course, like, share, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff. We will see you next time. As always, have fun and good hunting.